Are you one of those people that knows you should probably budget, but maybe you're too stressed out by all this budgeting stuff to get started? Hi, I'm Carly Myers, your friendly stress management expert, and this month we are talking about money. And I brought on an incredible guest to talk about money, to talk about this. A peace and prosperity coach, aka a financial coach, and she's been a financial coach since 2015. So she's got her feet in the water, and she coaches men and women from poverty into prosperity by teaching them how to manage their finances, debts, and build generational wealth. I think that's probably one of the most important pieces, generational wealth. And she is also an author and empowerment speaker. Welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, Carly. My name's Clyrese Minor. I am the Peace and Prosperity Coach that you will know and love very soon. Thank you, Carly, for inviting me on here. I'm really excited about this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we connected before the show and you were sharing a little bit about your story, and I thought, like, there's we have to hear it. We have to hear how you went from being a single parent living from paycheck to paycheck to the woman that you are today, because I think your story is just so relatable. So would you mind sharing a little bit of context for how you got here?
Of course, I wouldn't mind. I was a single parent for 11 years before I got married, of course. And I did live paycheck to paycheck. I lived on a salary of a CNA certified nursing assistant. And I made roughly about 30 some thousand a year, maybe a little bit under. And expenses was not greater than my income. It was the fact that I was wasting money on things like food. So my story is um, my son and I, we like to eat out. We love food. We like eating out. And I ate out for really any reason. I could just create a reason we're going to eat out and we would just eat out. So um, I realized that I was spending way too much money in that when I was at work. My son and I used to go to a store called Wawa that's located in the northeastern region of the United States. And our favorite thing to get at Wawa was the breakfast sandwiches. They're called Sizzlers. They're really good and very unhealthy, of course. But we get a Sizzler. I would get me one and get my son one, and I would get maybe a cup of coffee and some orange juice. So we would do that maybe about five or 6 days a week. So I'll just say about five, and I would spend roughly around $10 a day. So $10 times five, that's $50 a week. So you multiply that 50 times four, that's $200 a month on just breakfast alone. That really wasn't doing us any good. It wasn't fueling us. It wasn't making us full. It just was breakfast. So when I realized how much money I was spending on just breakfast alone, it really upset me because I was wasting so much money. I could have been doing things that I really wanted to do. I was wasting 200 plus dollars because like I said, we like to eat out often. So I was wasting probably over $400 a month on takeout food alone. And I was upset because there was nothing to show for where 400 plus dollars was going. My hair wasn't looking perfect. My clothes wasn't, the best. My son always looked nice, but I didn't always look the best. My car was used and old, so there was nothing to show for it. So it really upset me. And when I got realized what I was doing and how upset it made me, I just stopped it cold turkey. I stopped eating out. I started cooking at home. I started managing my money better. I created a spreadsheet. I created a system where not only did I stop eating out and became healthier, but I was also saving for emergencies, retirement, all those things. And within months, I saved thousands of dollars because I stopped wasting money on takeout food. So that was my problem. And that's what I help people realize how they are wasting money and where they could be saving.
Yeah, I think what's really funny about your story is that a really interesting. Well, we'll start with the funny. The funny is that when you shared about the breakfast sandwich, I grew up in Maryland, so we didn't have Wawas. Of course, I've grown to love them, but we have Sheets,
Mm-hmm.
and I would order the schmuffin, which is basically the same version of, I'm sure, the breakfast sandwich that Wawa offers. And those schmuffins, it's so fun to say, are so delicious, but also
Uh-huh.
like such a waste in many ways.
Uh-huh.
But what's interesting about your story is that it's not that it's like eating out is a waste of money. It's that for you, it was a waste of money
It
because
was
you'd
wasting
rather
money.
have other things. And that's what I loved about our conversation before the show. And what you do is that you're helping people figure out what's important to them and putting
Mm-hmm.
their money there. And
Mm-hmm.
so, um, and the fact that you were able to go from, $400 out the window, to thousands of dollars saved in just a few months is wild, and on a salary of 30 grand or less. I used to work a job where I was making 30 grand, and let me tell you, doesn't get you very far, especially if you're the only one paying rent. So
Right, right, right.
so tell me, like, what do you recommend for folks that haven't looked at their money and they know they need a budget, they're not really sure what to do, maybe they're even a little stressed out about it?
Well, for one thing, to have a budget, you have to see that it's a tool that we use to see where our money is going. So if you never had a budget before, then I would recommend, there are plenty of free resources out there where you can just create a spreadsheet, or you can just download an app. For example, like mint.com, they have a very, very useful app that you can use that's really going to track your money everywhere it goes out. It lets you know, hey, you made a purchase.
Yeah, I was going to say, like,
Made a
Clarity
purchase.
Money, you need a budget,
Right.
like all of those. And some of them even hook up to your, I mean, I think all three of those examples hook up to your bank account. So you don't have to like
Exactly.
spend the grueling hours putting things into spreadsheets if you don't want to.
If you don't want to, I do it, but I'm kind of extra with this because I like seeing where the money is going.
This is your
So,
calling, your purpose, of course.
so doing that, it's going to help you, like I said, pinpoint every penny that's going out, and that's what you want to do. You want to know where every penny is going out, so you can allocate it where you want it to go. Because when you're allocating it, that means you have control of your finances. When you're relying on just the bank, and I'll get this is going to my second tip. If you're relying on just the bank to tell you where your funds are going to, then that's how you can easily slip into overdraft fees. So this I recommend to everybody, and people don't like to do it. Balance a checkbook. Every dollar, every penny that is going out and coming in, you need to know what that is. So if you have your budget that's telling you how much expenses you have and how much income you have coming in, then you will see, hey, I do need to get an additional income. If you have to get a second job, what is that second job going towards? Because I never recommend getting a second job and you just have to rely on this second job for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But if you have to get a second job just to get your finances in order, then do so. But have a plan as to how long you're going to be there, what is it going to be used for, and how much you want to save.
Because let's be honest, time is our most valuable resource. Like, we live in a capitalist society, but the reality is that for many of us, time equals money. And
Yes.
so, having our time can be much more valuable. And I know that, one of the things that you talked about was the law of, I think it was reciprocity.
Mhm.
I can never say it, reciprocity. Um, and can you tell us a little bit more about that really quickly?
Well, Financial Bondage Broken is a faith-based organization, and we believe in paying tithes and offering and giving back to the community. So I use the law of reciprocity because it says in the Bible that given it shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So whatever you give and whatever measure that you give, it will come back to you. So law of reciprocity, whatever you give, you're expecting that to be returned. So if you need money, why don't you try giving money? Donate to that homeless person that's begging for a couple of dollars at the stoplight. Donate to a nonprofit that you believe in that's helping the homeless people because they need.
Mm.
And if you do things like that, it will be given back to you. It will come back to you if you believe that it will. But if you have doubt, then you might as well just keep your money in your pocket because it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. So okay, so we let's like do a little summary so that we can all take away some things today. So we've got start with what I would call a zero balance budget. You know, make sure you know exactly where every penny is going every single month. Begin saving. If you got to save like it doesn't matter if it's a dollar. I know for me, I used to
Right.
save 25 cents at a time. I am not joking. I would transfer 25 cents from my checking account to my savings account because I was like, I will save. Um,
Right.
and give give. I don't
Mhm.
care like for me personally, I don't care if it's through Amazon Smile or if it's, you know, a dollar to someone you see on the street. Giving the law of reciprocity, the
Reciprocity.
law of attraction, you know, all of that, you know, that really helps us get our finances together. So there's so much more that we could talk about in terms of finances, excuse me, and how to get them together. And in the case that you have more questions, please reach out to the incredible expert we had on today. Now, we do want to know in the comments below, what is something that you have a hunch that you could probably be saving a little bit of money on? I know for me, I may be I may be the most common answer to, and it's probably some food. I love me some food. So I should probably go back to my budget on food. Now, if you are feeling overworked and exhausted, I do have some good news for you guys. The Stress Less Company works with high achieving CEOs, business owners, and managers just like you to find that sense of peace and freedom that they desire. And as a result of our work together, they learn how to properly manage their time, tasks, and energy so that they can experience more free time, efficiency, and prosperity. Sounds pretty great, right? Well, you can apply for a complimentary stress less clarity session today with yours truly to start the conversation about working together. Visit stresslessco.com/apply for more information. Now that concludes this episode of the Stress Less Show. I want to give Clyrese a big last shout out and thank you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Carly, for letting me be on here. I really
Absolutely.
enjoyed myself.
Absolutely. So if you've enjoyed this week's episode, let us know by giving us a big old thumbs up and hitting that follow or subscribe button. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.